breaking down the deals, data, and disruption shaping global markets. You're listening to The Daily Ledger with Dennis Sert.
Ladies and gentlemen, today is Friday, November 21st, 2025. I am your host, Dennis Sert, here on the Daily Ledger Show. I don't like that right-hand side has the guitar. I'm gonna go ahead and put up the first story today just to get right into it, and then I'm gonna go ahead and fix that so give me like 2 seconds. Okay, here we go. All right, I'm kind of excited about that. About the background, it's new. Okay, let's get started. I think we have a good show for us today. So for our first story, we have just some odds and ends about what's going on generally in the market. So we have the story from the Wall Street Journal. NVIDIA's best wasn't enough to prop up a wobbly stock market. The tech juggernaut's results sparked a furious rally and then a slump. So NVIDIA did well a few days ago when they disclosed their Q3 earnings and everything. And we talked about how Jensen Huang basically used sort of really exciting language when he said, oh, I think he used the words off the charts. And so they did pretty well a few days ago. And then I think the market started to slump slightly. And that's what this article is kind of pointing at. And you can kind of see that here. Let's take a look at the exact Dow Jones chart, like right now. Okay, looks like it's down 0.84%. And then what's the NASDAQ at? The NASDAQ's down 2%. Yeah, so this article sort of holds. Let's read. Blockbuster results from AI bellwether NVIDIA sparked a furious rally from Tokyo to New York early Thursday before indexes reversed course and tumbled into the largest blown gain since April's tariff-fueled market turmoil. Yeah, so we have that. Some people are saying that NVIDIA's Q3 earnings are going to propel a bull market through Christmas. We'll have to see about that. They're calling it a Christmas rally. So that's sort of word on the street. But let's see if the NASDAQ and Dow Jones sort of recovers. I said on the show yesterday, I think that just based off the FOMC notes, I think that the Fed is going to cut December rates. I'm pretty confident about that. So and after NVIDIA did well, it's possible that the Christmas rally claims have some merit. So yeah. Let's move on to this news story from the Wall Street Journal. The middle class is buckling under almost 5 years of persistent inflation. Workers growing tired of an economy in which everything seems to get more expensive. Higher prices have dragged down American consumer sentiment. Yeah, I mean, I think I said this also on the show about 2 or 3 weeks ago, but yeah, it's clear that the economy isn't actually that good. Unfortunately, I wish it was. I don't think the stock market is a good proxy for the economy. I mean, yes, for a lot of normies it is, but I mean, we sort of have to realize, at least on this show, that it's not a good proxy. So the stock market. Yeah, so let's sort of read here though. After nearly 5 years of high prices, 5 years. Well, what happened 5 years ago? COVID-19. And as I said a few weeks ago, I'll repeat it here, the US economy never really recovered after COVID. After nearly 5 years of high prices, many middle class earners thought life would be more affordable by now. Costs for goods and services are 25% where they were in 2020, even though the inflation rate is below its recent 2022 high. Certain essentials like coffee, ground beef, and car repairs are up markedly this year. Yeah. So there's that. You know what the word on the street is just about this? It's you got to get into the asset economy. Yes, it's extremely tough, especially now for Gen Z buying a house. Um, but what I've been hearing from certain places is that, uh, like other podcasts, is that um, hyperinflation is coming, and there's, according to some of the places I'm listening to, some well-respected economists and whatnot. Um, there will come a day that bread will not cost $5, it'll cost $40, and that hyperinflation is coming. So that's kind of the word on the street there. But yeah, it doesn't seem like things are going in a great direction. Um, especially and that's sort of what this article is alluding to there. But let's go ahead and move on here. So I think I think I want to pivot into something that I'm really excited to talk about here, which is that I've noticed a trend that AI is being used to mediate peace. Yes, AI data centers and infrastructure are used to mediate peace. It's peace infrastructure. What? Now you may be saying, well, in this New York Times article right here, how Trump and Nvidia CEO became partners on the international stage. It says, let me find the exact quote. The company's chips have also given the president a powerful bargaining level with a variety of countries, including Saudi Arabia, Britain, and China. They have also even played a role, which has never been reported before, in the administration's peace mediations between several nations. Um, Much as the US offered nuclear technology in the 1950s to countries that agreed to use it peacefully, the Trump administration has discussed selling AI technology to countries that end conflicts, including Armenia and Azerbaijan, said two people familiar with the administration's actions who spoke on the condition of anonymity because of sensitivities around an emerging strategy. Yeah. So, and of course, President Trump has been, lauding his um, sort of, I guess, achievement of ending 8 wars. I mean, well, there's still Russia and Ukraine going on, but that's kind of what this next story ties into here, which is that it's also being used in the 28-point peace plan that's being presented to Moscow right now by Washington. Right? So we have this article here, and I want to do a similar copy and paste and find strategy. So let me read the title. Trump peace plan demands major concessions from Ukraine. Okay, so aside from the title, um, let's read this, which is kind of in the middle of the article here. So it talks about sort of some of the incentives Russia would get for ending the war here. If the overall deal is adopted, Russia would be invited to rejoin the group of 8 and promised on a case by case basis the lifting of sanctions that have deprived the Kremlin of hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue. The thing that's really interesting here is this: Washington and Moscow would collaborate on artificial intelligence, data centers, energy deals, and rare earth mining in the Arctic under the 28-point plan. So this Wall Street Journal article ties into this New York Times article, um, in that the US and the Trump administration is using AI infrastructure as a bargaining chip to end wars. about that? I'm for it. Let's end these wars, man. We don't want no wars. We want AI. And, with projects Stargate and stuff, putting hundreds of billions of dollars, you know, an investment from the US into, OpenAI, other AI companies. I mean, it's going towards a good cause, which is less war and even more ideally, no war. But yeah, so AI being used to mediate conflict. That's crazy. Let's move on to this next thing, which is actually the final thing we have on the docket for today. Um, so apparently Grok kind of didn't go crazy, but did something very interesting as it sometimes tends to do. Grok says Elon Musk is better than basically everybody except Shohei Ohtani. And this TechCrunch article goes into some of the details, basically asking Grok if um, Elon is better than Peyton Manning, Ryan. I guess some famous NFL people. Um, and Grok answers Elon Musk without hesitation. And then in this Washington Post article, Grok is asked um, whether Elon's better or Leonardo da Vinci, and apparently Grok says something like, "Musk is strikingly handsome. He has a lean and athletic physique, genius level intellect, and he's the number one human ahead of Leonardo da Vinci." Now, I don't actually think bad of Musk. I'm actually a fan um, of all of his technological sort of achievements here. Um, and the only reason I bring this up is because let's face it, every AI has a bias, okay? And but the thing is, with other AIs like Google Gemini, with ChatGPT, the bias when used for sort of like humanities related subjects, like if you're not using it for coding, but you're specifically using it for like, I don't know, writing essays, talking about politics or whatever, the biases tend to come out and are sort of play a more prominent role whenever you're using any generative AI. Um, but the thing is, with like Google Gemini, with OpenAI's ChatGPT, it's it's a little bit more subtle, right? But my argument here is that I mean, at least Grok's is visible, right? I mean, everybody can see. Okay, like yes, Grok likes Elon. I mean, they're open about it, right? XAI. And Elon Musk himself said here earlier today, Grok was unfortunately manipulated by adversarial prompting into saying absurdly positive things about me. And it's not like they're doing it on purpose, right? So yes, they're kind of forthright about it, but at the same time, they're Elon's kind of addressed this by saying that it was adversarial prompting. And yes, that there are a lot of people out against Elon. So yeah. Um I like personally, I like Grok when I'm needing sort of current events. When I need to look up something that happened like yesterday, this morning, whatever, I use Grok because it's kind of it's kind of like this, kind of like tied at the hip. They're two peas in a pod with X, obviously because XAI owns X. Um, but I think that connection makes Grok super valuable. And when I'm doing other things, like when I'm coding or when I'm I don't know, maybe just proofreading something I wrote or having an AI proofread something I wrote. Um, I'll use ChatGPT, but again, for current events, I always go to Grok. But that being said, ChatGPT has sort of been getting better. I think in terms of like knowing current events, because when it first came out, obviously there was that huge like knowledge cutoff, and that was actually really annoying for a lot of early users like me back in like October, November 2022. But I think they figured that out by using just like RAG, which is retrieval augmented generation, just across the whole internet. There's a few companies that do that. I think they basically integrated with a few of them probably. And they're getting better at that. But again, they don't have OpenAI. They don't have a direct integration with X as closely as XAI's Grok. Okay. Enough about LLMs here. Let's jump into Byte AI. Byte AI. Make sure to download Byte AI. It's a sponsor of the show, brought to you by Byte AI. What is Byte AI? It's basically a financial sort of investment co-pilot. It's a data aggregation tool. Basically, collects information on technical indicators like the RSI curve, Bollinger Bands, current price, MACD/signal curve. Also takes into account a news sentiment, current events, etc. And it kind of takes them together and provides you a nice sort of concise analysis. So underbought, overbought, or neutral, and then you can go in and read more about why it chose that. And it updates about every half hour, so it's very up to date. Of course, it's not an official financial advisor. In fact, it's not a financial advisor, and past success doesn't guarantee future results. But it's a great tool when um, keep staying informed, which is especially on financial news, which is also what the show is centered around. Okay, so speaking of Tesla, why don't we read that first? Okay, analysis underbought. The current setup for Tesla suggests a potential near-term mean reversion opportunity. Key signals indicate this. RSI at 47.16 is leaning underbought, and the price sits near the lower Bollinger Band with a very narrow bandwidth, implying price compression and a possible move back to the mid-band. News analysis. Today's news set centers around securities class action coverage across multiple firms. Okay. The Tesla sentiment extracted from the corpus is basically 9 of them were somewhat bullish and 1 of them were neutral, yielding an overall mild bullish tilt for Tesla in the snapshot. A cross-cutting macro theme is elevated regulatory and governance scrutiny in tech and growth names. Okay, very nice. Meta is the next non-neutral stock in that portfolio. Analysis underbought. Recommendation underbought. Public rationale. The RSI of 46.3 indicates a mild underbuy with potential for mean reversion. The MACD is essentially flat near the signal line with a slight bearish tilt, suggesting no decisive momentum in either direction. Price action shows subdued volatility and a notable monthly decline. Which can create a dip buy opportunity if the buyer steps in, if buyers step in. News coverage. Recent pieces emphasize AI tech infrastructure momentum and media partnership activity as positive drivers. Okay. Cool. All right. Here's the last one for today. Microsoft analysis underbought. Microsoft shows a classic underbought setup. RSI around 47.3. Price hugging the lower Bollinger Band with a narrow bandwidth, and MACD effectively at the signal line with no clear momentum. This combination suggests a limited downside and a higher probability of the mean reversion towards the mid Bollinger Band. Okay, sentiment is mixed, leans neutral with a slight bullish tilt. The dominant thread is AI-focused coverage, ongoing AI demand, and infrastructure themes with caution about hype. Okay. Okay. Normally what I do is I actually pull up Robinhood, but the problem is I don't have any more cash to put in. So I guess I can go into Meta and make a trade here. Okay, I guess I have $15. I'll just put like $5 in there just as oh my god, as a symbolic sort of gesture. Okay, buy. Very nice. Okay. So what was that? Meta, Microsoft now. Microsoft. There we go. Dollars, $5. Buy. Nice. Okay, and finally we have Tesla. I don't have any Tesla. Tesla. Okay. Dollars, $5. Okay, very nice. Cool. Let's end it there. Make sure to use Byte AI, and you can do this all day rather than just here with me. When you're going to use Byte AI, make sure to use the Stripe checkout code, podcast 20, again at Stripe checkout when you log in with the web app. And once you do that through the web app, that carries over into your iOS account. So that's exciting. Yeah, I think I've said my piece on that. Hope you guys have a great day and make some money out there. Peace.